everyone, it's Kirsten here again and welcome back to my channel. So last time I posted a video, I know I said that the following videos were going to be food related and there will be more food related videos coming. However, I went through the process of filming this whole video, editing it. I took a long time and then I decided I just really didn't like it. So I didn't post it. So here I am. Taking a little break from the food related stuff to deliver to you a video about how to live on a budget well. So I apologize in advance if my camera keeps shaking because my cat Alice keeps using my tripod as her own personal head rubbing stand. And I can't really make her stop right now and I'm kind of running out of time, so we're just gonna roll with it. All right, cool, awesome, glad we're on the same page. So obviously as a dancer, especially if you are trying to earn your own money and dancing is like your primary occupation, you're gonna be living on a budget. It might be super limited, it might be just kind of average. Usually it's not a large budget. So today I want to just share with you my tips that I've learned over the years of living on my own and kind of figuring out how to do adulty things. Not like I'm an expert, but I really do enjoy living a frugal and financially responsible lifestyle. So I just want to share with you guys the main things I've learned. So the first thing I want to talk about is just embracing general life principles. I've learned in my life, actually pretty recently, that embracing a more minimalistic lifestyle has been extremely satisfying and very budget friendly. So what this has meant for me is that I've actually become more aware of what brings me joy, what I use, what I like to have around, what I like to have in my group of possessions or just in my life. Basically, I am keeping things that I find functional or that that bring me satisfaction, and I intentionally identify the things that are just kind of weighing me down or the extra possessions I have that, believe it or not, I have to worry about. Anybody who has a bunch of possessions that are not useful to them will usually experience some level of subliminal stress. And I found that when I've become more aware of this, I noticed that, for instance, I've bought plants before that I didn't actually really like, but I would stress about how, oh my gosh, I didn't water them and blah, 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 blah. But I didn't actually like the plants. I just had them and they were a responsibility to me. Same with clothes. Whenever you are moving, for instance, which usually in one's younger years, early 20s, you will move a couple of times. You have to move with all of those possessions. And I go through my closet every time I move. I'm like, wow, I've kept this stuff and now I have to lug it around to another state and I don't even like it. So what this has meant for me is I have specifically cleared out my closet and identified the things that I actually like to wear, that I like having around, and just keeping kind of a lean wardrobe, as I like to call it, has made me feel like if I find another item that I really like and I really want, I can get that item, also because I have a small enough amount of items in my wardrobe to where I can pretty much remember everything I have, which helps me avoid buying duplicate items. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about was probably not clothes when I started this video, because if you're on a really big budget, you're not going to be buying a lot of clothes. You just live with your necessities. But I just wanted to bring this up as an example of living in a more minimalistic fashion. Also, this translates very well into your pantry and your kitchen. So I also like to keep, as I call it, a lean pantry. So I know exactly what is in there at all times. I don't have food that I know is very perishable that I don't want to eat. I create a general menu plan every week. It's not as hard as it sounds. I know the things I like to eat. I know the things I don't really like to eat and the types of items and produce that kind of just sits around and I think, oh, that would be nice if I cooked that, but I don't usually get around to it. Hey, there's Alice. Hey, Alice. So essentially what I'm encouraging you guys to do is to, in your wardrobe and in your pantry, identify the things that you're not going to be using or you just think are a nice idea, but you don't actually use them in practice. The third thing I think is extremely crucial to embrace, not just when you're on a budget, but just going about your adult life and having to handle money. You need to learn how to understand the true value of money. And what this has meant for me practically is that over the years, as I've become better and better on living a nice, fun life on a smaller budget, is that I've learned to choose what I spend my money on carefully, because I start to assign dollar amounts to their opportunity cost. What I mean by opportunity cost is when you're going to buy one item and say it's $5, kind of run through your brain quickly what else you buy in your life that's $5, and is this more worth it than that item? If there is a situation where you can choose, kind of just be aware of what value you are assigning to the money that you are just spending. So for me, I think of ordering an entree at a restaurant, which I like to leave a little room in my budget to go out to restaurants. I don't, that will be another point, because going out too much definitely drains the bank account. But for instance, when I'm choosing between two entrees, if one is $3 less than the other, you might think, whatever, $3. Or you're at Chipotle and you want to add the guacamole and it's almost $2 and you're like, whatever. Think of it. You can buy like for me, I eat a plant-based diet primarily. For me, if I spend $2 to $3 just on something that's unnecessary, like an extra $2 to $3, or I get a drink at Starbucks or something, which I actually never do, and I don't advise going to coffee shops. Brew your own dang coffee, people. It saves so much money, it's ridiculous. Anyway, let's say I spend $3 extra. Now the way I think is not like, oh, it's just $3, whatever. It's like, well, technically $3 could actually buy my protein source for the week. It could buy my beans or my tofu or my tempeh or a pound of quinoa when it's on sale. So I start thinking in terms of the money's actual value and what it could be buying me in actual practical purchases, rather than just like, oh, $1 here, $2 there. Those little differences actually add up big time. And often everyone is naturally more cognizant of the bigger purchases they make, and they know like, oh, those shoes cost $70. Oh, I'm gonna see that difference in my account at the end of the month or in my budget. But a lot of people are just not aware or just very intentional about the little purchases they make. Those actually add up the most, and if you're not aware, they can make a huge difference at the end of each month, let's say, when you're really putting together your spendings versus your earnings. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about the principles to live by generally, next I think it's important to identify the 3 or 4 biggest expenditures in your monthly budget, or weekly if you want to think about it that way, whichever. I find it easy to calculate monthly stuff. And I'm not talking about like rent and maybe car payments. Fixed large payments like that are not things you have control over necessarily, especially if you sign like a year lease. It's not like you're gonna all of a sudden be like, no, I don't like spending $700 a month on rent. Now I'm gonna pay like $800 to get out of my lease and go to a different apartment. That's different. So what I want you to think about is your 3 or 4 biggest budget items each month that you actually have control over. Now, for me, this is food, utility costs for like my electric bill and things like that. This can also be clothes and gas for people. Now, again, if you're on a super tight budget, you don't really need to think about clothes, but some people are on a moderate budget and they're a little bit too into shopping. So wardrobe does usually have some sort of influence on a tight budget as well. So first and foremost, I think almost everyone's #1 budget item is usually food. So first off, this is kind of a no-brainer. Try to cook your own food as much as possible. Instead of going out, and kind of set like a personal amount of times or a maximum amount of times that you can go out for a meal per week. Setting some sort of budget or boundary is really essential, and it will also force you to be prepared, which is another huge principle in saving money. So for me, I have saved an extraordinary amount of money on just being very committed in preparing food or knowing exactly what I'm gonna eat that week. Well, not exactly, but like having a good idea of all the things I'm gonna want to buy at the grocery store to provide for me and my meal needs throughout the week. I have gotten really good at knowing how much food I need to buy, what kind of food I like, what I don't like, how I mentioned earlier about like what's the stuff I always want more of, and what are like the things that sit there and rot in my produce basket, which is almost nothing now, but this happens to a lot of people. So become really familiar with how to cook foods that you actually enjoy eating, and obviously that will help you tremendously to save money because there's a huge markup on restaurant food. I actually sometimes like I go out to eat with a friend because I really want to visit with them or celebrate something with them, but it's still hard for me as a very like frugal person to not think like, oh, that was $15, which was almost half of my grocery bill this week. Oh my gosh. But then I just remind myself I'm paying for the experience, the ambiance, the service, and things like that. But yeah, cook as much as you can, people. And as far as groceries go, I don't want to make this seem like propaganda, but I'm just gonna be honest and say that my grocery bills have genuinely cut nearly in half since I started eating a plant-based diet. This is because when I was eating meat and dairy products, I was trying to be more healthy about it. And so I was trying to pick like higher quality protein sources. And I was eating about 2 pounds of meat a week because I was going on like a high protein diet and things like that. And then I calculated $7.50 on Greek yogurt to $10 every week because I would get like the bigger tubs and have like 4 servings out of each one of those, and I would have a serving for breakfast, and then sometimes I would have like 1 yogurt cup for dessert because I loved Greek yogurt. This seriously added up. And so by replacing those protein sources with things like beans that I actually cook on my own, you can get the normal canned version, but I like cooking my own beans. I eat more tofu now. Quinoa, I get that when it's on sale for like $3 a pound. And it has saved me an extraordinary amount of money. Now, what needs to accompany this, because a lot of people think that a vegan diet is expensive, this is likely because they are buying packaged foods that are pre-prepared, or they're like a meat alternative or substitute or something like that, which is still comparable to the price of actual meat. So one thing, when I really embraced this, it changed my spending habits dramatically. And it was also embracing a lower waste lifestyle. And how this translates into my grocery shopping habits is that I would actually buy as much as I possibly could. I still do. I buy as much as I possibly can in items that are not coming in any sort of packaging. So I get tons of bulk foods. Like I get my grains in bulk. I have my own bulk bags that I fill them with. I'll fill up on rice when it's on sale, or I'll fill up on quinoa when it's on sale, and I'll get enough to last me a couple weeks. So that saves me a lot of money right there. I also get my nuts when they are on sale in bulk, and you're gonna definitely save money there. I make my own nut butters, which is actually super easy, you guys, if you have a food processor. So easy. And it saves me money on that. I have actually started to buy, I eat a ton of greens per week. I'm just giving you examples here. And I used to buy pre-packaged, pre-washed tubs of spinach, and it was like $6. Now, what I've started to do is I buy the bulk, bundles of spinach. It's not baby spinach, so I have to cut it up, and I wash it myself. But 2 bundles of that equals 1 big box of spinach, and it only cost me $3. So I'm saving $3 a week on spinach, $12 a month, which translates to $144 every year just on spinach. If you start to think of the value of certain savings over time and kind of have that like time value of money thing going on in your head, oh my gosh, you're gonna save so much money. So So next I'll talk about utilities, and this is actually something that a lot of people don't think about. I didn't think about it for a long time because I used to live in a house where my utilities were just included in my rent price. So I'm kind of horrified now when I look back on it how I would just leave all my lights on, like, ugh. I would leave the AC on all the time. Like, I just really had no clue. I would leave all of my things plugged into the walls. So first off, the one thing a lot of people don't realize is that whenever you have your electronics plugged into the wall constantly, even if those electronics are not on, they're still sucking up power, and that does cost you money, and it actually does make a difference in your monthly bill. Since it fluctuates so much with the seasons, be really aware of how much you are using your AC. A lot of times it's cheaper to run the AC whenever you really need it. For me, I prioritize this when I sleep. I really hate being hot when I sleep. Like, it ruins my quality of sleep. So I have it off most of the day, even during the warmer months, and I'll use fans, which are more cost effective because they use less power. I also unplug all of my electronics when I'm not using them. I don't use my TV that often, so it's pretty much always unplugged. Even my coffee maker, my food processor, things I use every single day, my blow dryer. Stuff like that you don't think about, but it does add up. My computer and phone chargers, always unplugged when I'm not using them. And guys, this has seriously made a difference because I noticed even when I would go home for like 2 weeks and then come back, I would look at my power usage reports and my bill would stay almost the same despite the fact that my AC was off, and I was like, what is happening? This is a scam. Then I realized I left all my stuff plugged in. So be really aware of how much power you're using, and it will make a huge difference in your monthly utility bills. Next is gas, but I don't really feel like I need to talk too much about this. If you do have a car, be aware of how much you're driving around. Try and minimize it. Carpool with friends. You guys know all those tips, but just be aware of that as well. So since I kind of already covered wardrobe, I don't want to really go over it too much again. But if you do really find shopping to be a really satisfying thing for you, first off, one thing I'd recommend is kind of translating that joy for shopping into your grocery shopping. When I did this, it really made a big difference in my life, and it helped me with my consumeristic behaviors that were not so good for the budget or for the environment or for anything. Basically, another huge tip is don't buy into fast fashion brands. You might think you're saving a ton of money going to Forever 21, but really what you're buying is crap that's going to be destroyed in the washer and dryer in a couple months. You're going to have to buy it again. So try to get higher quality items on sale. This is what I love to do personally. One of my favorite stores is Anthropologie, and yeah, that's an expensive store. But you'd be shocked how many things I've gotten on sale, like high quality shirts I've worn for years. I got them for $12 to $16, which is really not a lot of money for something that I consider to be an absolute wardrobe staple. Also for exercise gear, especially for you dancers, really shop on eBay. Seriously, you could get brand new Lululemon items for half the price or less if they're slightly used. Lululemon has really high quality exercise apparel, so a lot of times I find that whenever I buy an item on eBay that's already been used, it doesn't make much of a difference in how it looks or the longevity of the item. Bonus tip, another thing that you should really be doing right now is apply for a credit card if you don't have one already with good cashback bonuses, and really get familiar with how to properly use a credit card. Absolutely never be late on your payments, and this could actually earn you money. Just by using my credit card for my like food expenses, in the last 8 months I've earned $60 cash back, which is pretty awesome that I've actually gotten paid to use that credit card because I am absolutely never late on my payments, so I am never paying interest. Huge tip. Do not ever pay interest on any sort of debt, so never get in debt if you can help it. I know that's not always possible, but if you're using a credit card, do not spend money that you don't have if you can help it. That is the worst thing to just destroy your financial health, so be responsible, guys, and yes, start using that credit card and earn points. Get a good cashback card if you can, or one with cashback rewards, and it will seriously change your game. If you could get a high enough credit limit and start paying your rent with that, whoa, you could be earning money off of paying your rent and expenses you just pay anyway. So that's a big tip. Okay, I actually need to go now, but let me know if you want me to make another video about finance type stuff, because I do enjoy those topics almost just as much as talking about food. And let me know if you want me to make a little video about how to earn extra money on the side with little side hustles, or just ways to earn a little extra money, especially if you find that you spent a little too much one week. I can maybe try and give you some tips on how to make that up in your budget. So with that, I will say goodbye. And also, before I say goodbye, please subscribe if you'd like to get notifications when I upload videos. I would really appreciate that. And give this a like if you approve of this kind of topic on my channel, if you want to see more. And again, please do check out my Patreon account if you are interested in supporting my channel financially, so that I can continue to hopefully put out more valuable information on the internet, which is what I love to do. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye!